In the public hearing with pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now we wait.
Now we wait.
Anybody got any thoughts on the tree?
You had one tree question the other night, so at least, you know, the guy at the meeting.
Yeah, somebody asked about
Yeah.
the tree thing, yeah.
Same concerns we all had, you know.
Yeah, the trees on personal
Yeah.
property. So, explain to me again, what's the benefit of being a tree city?
It does help us with grants,
Okay.
like especially the park grants and
Okay.
like that. It gives us extra points.
Okay.
When anytime a grant's scored, they have a point scale, of,
Yeah.
you know, so they give you X amount of points. So it's one of those things where if you're a tree city, you might pick up an extra couple points.
Nice. So if there's something to be done, like in the park, cutting trees down and stuff like that, do we have to go through anybody to cut them? No.
No, but we do have to be conscious of the trees, and we just, you know,
Yeah.
hack down all the trees, and
Okay.
it just kind of
Is there anybody that oversees this, or?
it's just the tree board.
The
I
tree
think,
board.
is
Tree
in
board.
there.
And
The
there's-
tree board.
Come up with a comprehensive plan of managing and identifying the trees, and, you know, if there's any issues, then you have them addressed. And in regards to planting new ones, you pick specific species that would do better, and where you
Okay.
know, looking to plant them.
Yeah.
Cool, just like guidance type thing.
Yeah.
You know, we want to prune the trees and make
Yeah.
keep them healthy.
Yep.
We had, was it just a couple years ago, we had somebody in the back of Hickory there with all the walnuts and the hickory trees. We had them go through the whole forest, make sure they're healthy. You know, the big limbs get dead and fall. We don't want anybody back there when they fall, and, you know, there's so many, you know, everybody
Those
wind
trees are
blows.
massive back there. There's a
They're
few
big,
leaning
old-
ones
yeah.
in there right now.
Really?
Yeah, just from the winter.
Mhm.
So the green trees there, the evergreens, their roots are so shallow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple there.
For the size of them,
You know, I don't know how, once it dries out, if that helps it,
Right.
but eventually we'll have to address that, I'm sure.
In my old house, we had a tree next to, a pine tree next to the house.
Yeah.
And it's really, really close to the sewer,
No.
septic tank.
Yeah.
And every time the wind would blow, it rocked back and forth, and the ground,
Oh,
the ground would come up. And
Yeah.
I'm like, it's only a matter of
That's
time.
Oh,
Yeah.
So I
Those things are a
had a
mess.
friend come over, and he dropped it. Once it was on the ground, I did the rest, but I was like, I don't feel comfortable dropping this. And the day we started cutting, it started to lean back a little bit toward the house, so we had some wedges, and it fell where we wanted it to, but.
Yeah.
You
if I
guys
would've done it
know
by
Nathan
myself-
Merritt, bearded goat guy? You know,
Yeah.
him, right? Yeah. I just talked to him yesterday. I got a pine tree out front that's just half dead.
Get rid of it. The
It's-
price of felling trees nowadays, if you
Yeah.
know somebody.
Yeah.
Well, it's the
So
insurance that's involved.
Correct.
I was in the tree business back in the 90s, and
Okay.
the insurance you have to carry.
You have to carry,
It's-
yeah.
And you have to have $1 million liability
And that was
policy.
back then, think what it is now.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine what, it's gotta be 3 times what I paid back in the 90s.
On the
Courtney,
the safety
There,
regulations.
the waste management is not in there. I made a note on there, but I don't know why it's like $8,000. Why would that be?
We pay the waste management regularly for the contract that we have for them to pick up garbage. I'm sure
She's got it in this detail, she just doesn't have it in here. So maybe it's not in this pile, and she already sent it or something,
I don't remember.
or? I made a note on there.
Okay. Yeah, things are hectic.
So one more tree question. So trees in the village right of way are from the sidewalk to the street. Those are all village owned and pruned and maintained under this law.
So, well, Joe might be a little slow a little bit. The village right away, it's not our property per se.
Okay,
We don't own it, the residents own it, but we have the right of way
Mhm.
for the roadway.
right.
So really, it's up to the homeowner
Should maintain those.
Yeah, and they can plant trees, and I think part of this is that if you want to plant a tree in your right away, then you're welcome to do that.
Okay.
But you're also responsible to do all the stuff.
Good evening. Okay, so that was,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so you can still do that, just you should maintain them. But
Do
also.
residents need to get permission, I didn't mean to cut you off, I'm sorry, to plant a tree in those areas? No? Okay.
But they should, they need to call it 811 before they do.
Oh, for the-
Okay.
That's the problem. It would be nice if they kind of work with us on that, just to be safe.
Especially if they've got power lines on the other side of the street, you don't want a 7-foot tree be planted there.
And that's the main thing. Our biggest problem is the
The
power
types of
lines.
trees that would be
Yes,
there.
and we want them on the opposite side of from those things, from the power lines, or we want them to try and treat it like
Right.
like on Rochester Street,
Or
we're gonna
protect
repair
trees that don't
trees.
get more than 20 feet tall.
Okay.
Because we'd love to have trees on both sides of 19, so it has a nice like canopy, like it used to be, but it's not really.
Those trees were all cut down for a specific reason, because they got into
They're
everything.
pretty for about 5 years. It's like, you get the wild trees. and the
I
wild-
know, and it's so hard, it's so rough, and they cut the trees and they look like that.
Like driving to Churchill.
Yeah.
Right off the golf course.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I mean driving down 33 to Churchill, like, before you get to A&G.
Yeah, before the bridge, they come on the left-hand side. maybe.
No, after the bridge, on the right.
On the right,
It's all-
yeah.
oh, it's
Oh, it's
terrible.
just so terrible. I
Yeah,
think.
they don't care about aesthetics, they just want them away from the
They
lines.
won't fall
Yeah.
down?
I would just
Well,
cut the
there's
whole
I think there's
thing.
one, just after where the old golf course was, Robinson's, the next house.
Oh.
There's one right there, it's the same way, just like this
Yeah.
big U
Yeah.
shape,
Yeah.
power
Yeah.
line go out to the middle.
Yeah,
of
they
it.
cut it down the middle and big U-shaped thing, yeah.
So we're open for the tree ordinance, if anybody has questions or concerns at the moment about the tree ordinance, but just want to let it out there for anybody, okay? The other thing I see throughout the village is people parking their vehicles up on the curbs,
Mhm.
you know, of the road, causing quite a mess, especially on my street. It's like a parking lot down
Yeah,
there.
the Munger, the Heffenmunger's the same way.
So I don't, is there anything in place that the village can suggest or monitor or even notify residents of that's probably not a good practice, or how does that work?
I think
Is there
so.
anything?
Yeah, the only thing that we have in the books, I think, is parking on the road overnight,
Right,
and that's mostly for snow plowing.
yeah,
And across the sidewalks.
Yes, you can't feed the sidewalks or
right,
any of that
Right.
stuff.
yeah, that's, yeah, okay. Hi, Eric.
Hi, Eric. How's it going tonight?
Good.
Hey there.
How are you, sir?
Wonderful. You? We're still in our public hearing for our tree ordinance.
Yeah. It's
Heated? Not yet.
It is now.
Hello. There's information in the back and a sign-in if you want, it's up to you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, Mrs. Mino. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good. When Sally taught preschool, Maria was helping out, and my daughter called her Mrs. Mino. Isn't that cute?
I still call her that.
Some kids never grow up.
That's right, I know, that's right. We're currently open for the tree ordinance. I don't know if that's one of the reasons you're here, but if you had questions about it, okay.
I just wanted to see it.
Yep, great.
That's all.
So we're open for 15 minutes from 15 to 6:30 for our tree ordinance, and then we'll go into our regular board session.
So where we don't have sidewalks where we are, what's the deal on closeness to the road with trees and stuff?
Yeah, I don't know, Joe, we've talked about this before. The right of way extends from the middle of the road
Yep.
out, and different roads have different.
Most of them are all the same in the village, 24 and a half feet off center of the
Okay.
road. They're 49 and a half foot right away. So take 24 and a half off the center of the road, measure that in,
Yep.
and that's where the right of way is on your property.
Okay. It's probably not good to put them close to the swale anyway, because you got drainage underneath them,
Yeah.
so they'll get in there and just screw it all up.
Where the right of ways get different on the state roads.
Yeah.
They're usually 66 foot right away,
Oh,
so
wow.
it's 33 feet off center.
Okay. Do we have any street sweepers coming through anytime soon?
We should, at some point, we've talked to Trinfield, or they're gonna come on a regular basis
Great.
and do our streets.
So
In
dirty out
in
there.
return, we replaced the brushes on the street sweeper.
Great, okay.
So that'll be our contribution, and then in return, they'll vacuum and sweep for us.
Those sweepers are very, very
I
expensive.
know, right, I need those.
Yeah, a lot of maintenance too with those
Yeah,
machines.
Right.
Probably the highest of all machines.
Mm-hmm.
We've had two of them over the years. All junk.
Are those dual-use machines for their pickup of leaves as well?
I don't, some of them are, some of them aren't, but I don't think,
Not
sure
sure.
it's not, like, because, yeah, the last one we had a vacuum on it.
Yeah,
But, yeah, they're really not made for the leaves.
yeah.
It actually makes it harder.
I
It
just-
actually took us more time with that, using
Yeah.
that than it did in bags.
I wouldn't want to put them to the street. I think just blow away.
Yeah, they just blow in the street, clog the
Right.
storm drain, and all
Right.
that stuff, yeah.
Did I tell you our success story with John Warren from Byron, picking up leaves at the lake? I set up 2 corrals of snow fence, west side, east side. And he came down 2 times in the fall, west side, east side, 2 times.
Clean them up.
Cleaned them all up, dumped them off at my neighbor farmer up the way from me, $2,500.
Good for you.
Wow.
And then the town reimbursed it. It's unbelievable. So we don't have people raking them in the lake. It's terrible.
Yeah, that's-
Because it causes more pollution and more algae and stuff. so.
Right.
But it was, and he did such a great job.
That's wonderful.
John Warren, yeah.
And how does he pick them up?
Vacuum.
Oh.
Yeah, he's got a vacuum. And they tried with the village of Perry and Castown, they both had vacuums, and they weren't interested in helping us. So this guy from Byron goes all the way down there.
No,
Wow.
But yeah, worked out great.
And 2,500 just for the whole way around the lake, or just one side of the lake, or where?
Two sides of the lake where we have little corrals, people just dump their leaves in, and they just came and sucked them up.
Oh.
Yeah, pretty cool.
You didn't have to transfer them far to dump.
Pardon me?
You didn't have to take them far to dump them.
You know, just throw over the
Yeah.
line, yeah. They're happy to take them.
Sure.
So, yeah. It's good stuff.
And that's what I do with my leaves every year. I put them right in the garden and throw them in.
Tough week.
Yeah, that time of year.
Yeah, you gotta do tax season.
I don't pay taxes.
Yeah, but it's all,
Everything is-
everything has to be wrapped up in a year. Everything.
Did you guys see the sunrise this morning?
Mm-hmm.
Lasted like 10 minutes and it started pouring.
Yeah, it was
Thundering.
beautiful.
6:30.
I make a motion that we close the public hearing for the tree ordinance.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. All right, let's go to our regular meeting. Approval of the bills. No motion to accept the bills of the evening.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of the January 14th, 2026 meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the January 14, 2026 meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll do some of our business. The mayor's report, still administering the numerous grants that we have open. Courtney's played a big part in that. We're still trying to get the community development block grant to go along with our NDRC $1 million grant. And Governor Hochul's announced the opening of the New York Plays grant opportunities, and we have taken advantage of that grant and had Labella on our behalf submit a application for the park grant. And we'll hope that goes through. That's the somewhat of the grant that we got to put our park pavilion in.
Is that a matching grant, Mayor,
Do
of any kind, do you know?
you remember if that was matching, Courtney?
Which grant?
The park grant,
Grant that we're having about.
New York Plays. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
there's a matching.
It's a match.
To it, yeah.
There is a match. Can you just note, Courtney, and let us know what that is next one?
Myself, Courtney, and Todd met with the Genesee County Economic Development Center people here on February 6th to discuss the future development of land here in the village that's available for housing. And they're going to try to promote at their end avenues for the village to see that we might get some growth in the not too distant future. PLM is continuing to oversee our substation replacement project. Site work is scheduled for late April to early May. The contractor, Northline LLC, is the contractor who was awarded the bid for the substation construction, the site work. Attended the Genesee Association of Municipalities meeting, which was held in Batavia, February 19th. There was a great presentation there by the Genesee County Emergency Management. And I know, Eric, you're up on this for the volunteer fire service throughout the county, the state that we're in. It was, again, in detail, the situation, and I'll be trying to work around that. There is another meeting scheduled for later this month at Community College, which I'll be attending. And they're going to go into great detail on how they want to pursue and try to solve the problem of the shortage of volunteers. We've got 3 out of the 4 bands for our summer concerts lined up. June 24th, July 15th, and August 26th so far. And I know, Mike, you're going to work on one more band.
Yeah, secured the June 24th, and I have one that did give us a date, but we were hoping for something a little sooner in August, so we'll work on that one.
Okay. The electric rates, we all know how high they were in January. They'll be coming down the price per kilowatt hour for February. We got word from NIMPA, our supplemental power rate would be 9.4 cents.
6.
Well, I know it says 6, but it's actually 9. He just updated it. It's 9.4, and it's down from what 15.9 that it was. So January was a terrible month.
What is it typically?
We're about 10 cents.
Okay, so it's going down to the typical rate.
And I'm going to say in closing, this is my last mayor's report, sitting in this seat. And I'd like to thank you all who I've had the pleasure to serve with. All of you, the office staff, all the employees, all the organizations. And it's been a privilege and an honor to serve the village in this capacity. So I just want to say thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, that's it. Go ahead, Gordon.
Just a couple things in my report. I know you all have all read it. I put in there again about the Office of Aging coming on April 9th, from 9 to 4. I just want to remind you of that. The election, next Wednesday, is a week away, 12 to 9. Also, we worked with Municipal Solutions. We're trying to find the matching funds for $1 million sewer infiltration grant. So we're applying for congressional earmark funds, New York State. So we submitted for that. We're hopeful. I also submitted the Youth Bureau agreement and documentation for the summer rec program. I'm working on the NYMER insurance policy renewal. I bring that up because they're projecting a 4% increase, and I want to talk to you guys about possibly lowering the deductibles or increasing the deductibles so we have a lesser rate.
Is this all insurance policies? Does it include workers' comp or anything?
Just for our
general liability?
umbrella policy for
Okay.
property.
I didn't see any increases in the commercial one where I am this year, so that's good.
Yeah. And our deductibles are fairly low, 500 or 1,000. So there's some space there to raise them, save some money.
Do you need us to give you an answer? Do we need to discuss the amount of
Not right
deductibles?
now. No, just think about it.
So you're getting a new zero-turn mower, do we have another one that has to go?
Yeah, so we have 2 zero-turn mowers, and we sell one every year.
Okay.
And then get a new one.
That goes up for auction? Is that how it goes?
Yeah, we'll put it up, I'll have I'll have the board market a surplus, and then we'll put it up for auction. And there's C, where you have that V plow. If you want to use to go on the skid steer, then just plow the village. So that's up for surplus too. We haven't used it in a really long time. We use the RTV with the V plow, and that works really well. And then as a backup, and when snow gets really heavy, we have the snow blower that goes on the skid steer. And that works really, really well. I remember the V plow fondly because it wasn't too many years after I moved into the village where it was really soft, and they had tires on the skid steer instead of the tracks we have now, and they got off the sidewalk and buried it in my front yard. And they had to have a tow truck at Hunter Street with a long gable, grab it and pull it out of there. Yeah. It's funny. But that's so. Any other questions on there?
Okay, Gary's got his CEO, ZEO report. Look that over. Okay.
I'll make a motion that we accept the mayor's, the administrators, and the CEO reports.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Trustee concerns, Bernadette?
I don't have any trustee concerns.
Michael?
No, but I want to say thank you, Mayor Shimino, for the 4 years of your service.
Oh, thank you.
It's been an honor. I've seen considerable improvements throughout the village in infrastructure and parks. And serving with you and the board has been a privilege, so thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
It's been a real team effort. You know, I can't say enough about the employees and the organizations, the committees. It's a team effort. You know, they deserve all the credit.
You've got a good thing going here, but thanks for your leadership.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Todd?
I mimic what Joe, or Mike said, you know, thank you for everything you've done for us for the last 4 years, and thank you to all the village staff for the work they put in. It's been a hard winter for everybody, and they've done a good job for us.
Okay. Robert?
Again, thank you for everything. Learning from you all the time, so thanks for that. The other thing that I have is Ralph Garnish called today to chat about the gas situation up in the subdivision. He said not only do we need gas there, but also on Rochester Street on the opposite side.
Yeah.
His side.
Okay.
From Todd Strassner's to the end, there's nothing, there's no
Okay.
gas there. So he said, if you're going to approach RG&E, please include that in there as well.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know either, so I said, well, thank you for letting us know.
Is it only halfway down, on one of your side of the Buffalo Street? Or does both sides of Buffalo have it?
We have gas on
I
both
have gas
sides.
on my side.
Yeah, so,
So Todd, you do not have gas?
No, I think there are 3 or 4 houses to the west of me is where it stops.
Okay.
Yeah, so, anyway, so
Good to know.
I'm gonna pursue that again in our subdivision and get our genie on board too. We'll do a little more petitioning and find out if people wanna make we need 51%, and we didn't get it last time. So.
Okay, very good.
Whose rule is that? That's RG&E's rule? The
That's their rule.
51%?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they have to be guaranteed that they're gonna make, you know, and you have to basically have an appliance that you're planning on putting in, dryer, hot water heater, you know, gas fireplace, something like that.
You want to see usage?
Yeah, they want to be guaranteed they're gonna be using it, and they don't want to just bring it to you and then it just sit there, so.
I want to act on that pretty quick before there's a moratorium on the
Yes,
gas.
I know.
The way the governor's pushing
Absolutely.
electric.
That's for
Yep,
sure.
so anyway, that's kind of tops on my list.
Because isn't it already in place, the date?
No, this is for appliances she's got.
She's talking to New York State mandates. for
Yeah,
electric.
after which you're not.
There's several dates for several different projects. There's a couple on hold that the legislatures have passed with the governor's approval, but there are still many that are on the books for 2030, 2035, and beyond. All new builds are gonna be the first thing that's affected. I think current, older residential homes still will be able to access, but it's gonna be limited.
Yeah, and I think
The
our
sooner the
committee
better.
would jump on it because it's
Yeah.
just more revenue for them in an area that they have no prayer of getting any more.
Right, correct.
So,
Okay. Under new business, Eric, wastewater treatment plant,
Where do you guys want me to start?
give us some good news. What's some good news, Eric?
So I met up with Mike and Bob a few weeks ago to kind of talk about, the system, the budget, all the concerns that we have every day, right? So a few things we talked about, I won't go into all detail from that meeting, but just a refresher. We have very strict limits for that wastewater plant, basically because of 2 things, because it's an intermittent stream, and because of a study that SUNY Brockport did a few years ago on phosphorus. We're basically doubled, triple the lower loadings than most of the surrounding plants. Because of that, we have to have pretty expensive wastewater treatment technology.
Can I show that?
Yep.
Okay, this is what he brought, this is where we have to be, 0.2. Because basically we're dumping it into Mini Creek, which doesn't flow all the time.
So that's one of the limits, that's phosphorus. So 0.2 is our limit. Most plants, if they have a limit, is 1 milligram per liter, which can be handled typically a little bit biologically, but with a chemical base, through conventional settling. So think of it as a swimming pool, you put chemicals in it, it settles out, you filter, you vacuum it out. For our facility, because of the low limit, we have to have two components. We have to have the chemical addition, much higher concentration of chemical addition and much more expensive, along with the filtration, which is our membranes. So that's just one of the limits. We also have limits for BOD, ammonia, solids, and we have a disinfection limit. So we have fecal coliform limits. Because of that, we had installed UV system a few years ago. So from a treatment perspective, that's why it's an expensive system to operate. That's why it's an expensive system to maintain. So we come from a chemical perspective. I think we spent about $90,000 last year on two primary chemicals. One is alum, the other is a caustic for pH adjustment. So the alum is essentially for the phosphorus removal. The other big expense for us down there is, I would say, the electricity and the membranes themselves. So the membranes don't last 30, 40 years. You're going to get 10 to 15 years out of them. And again, it's a wearable part. It's just the nature of the business that we have. We did discuss, what options do we have for the plant. The reality is we still have to have some sort of filtration system in. So you could switch to different technology, but reality is going to be just as expensive. You're not going to eliminate the chemicals. You're not going to eliminate a filtration aspect. There's different methods of filtration, but the investment to essentially upgrade the facility or completely change it, in my opinion, is not a worthwhile investment. I equate it to a car, right? If you need tires on your car, you don't buy a new car. Well, some people do, but you don't buy a new car because you need new tires. So I think they're wearable items, and unfortunately, it's just an expensive endeavor that we have. Did have a good conversation with Chris a few weeks ago as well. He reminded me of a conversation that he had with DEC recently. Typically, the DEC, once they give you a limit, there's a no backsliding law. So it can't be less stringent. So that's why it's typically to anyone's advantage. Anytime you get a limit, anytime they propose a limit, you fight it as much as you can. You can't backslide. However, Chris did remind me there was a conversation he had that if we can demonstrate financial issues, there's potential of that. So we are going to be working, and that's something we didn't talk about, but something we are going to be working on is kind of a draft letter that the village can send to the DEC, kind of outlining what the issues are financially. I think it's also going to discuss, what's the real benefits to the water bodies? What are we really removing compared to the farms in the area that, spread manure, et cetera. So we are going to make a submission to the DEC on that to hopefully reduce the chemical need. Not sure how successful we'll be, but we'll give it a shot. The other thing we're going to look into, again, we looked at in the past, is potentially moving our discharge location. So versus Minnie Creek, we did look at this in the past, putting in a pump station, pumping it to Black Creek, with the hopes of getting a more relaxed limits. So we're going to try that as well. How fast they move to be determined, but I think it's a worthwhile ask.
Yeah, his comment was, if I can interject, was if we make an effort to get that up to Black Creek where we're not just kind of putting it on the ground where Minnie Creek doesn't flow all the time, that there's a chance that they would readdress that phosphate level for us and adjust up if they see progress in that respect.
So I will ask two things. We'll see what they say. And the other aspect with pumping the Black Creek, obviously, what limits will they give us?
Yeah.
And then there's going to be a capital cost associated with a pump station.
Yep.
And a force main up in Black Creek, right? So there's going to be costs there.
Yep.
What are those costs compared to, the savings that we're going to see? So that needs to be outweighed. So we had a good discussion on that. We've had discussions recently on the chemicals themselves, so I know the village has reached out for pricing from different suppliers on the chemicals. From what I've seen so far, they are favorable. We have to, on the Allen perspective though, we gotta make sure the DEC is okay with the chemical change. There's always a little different chemical makeup. So we have to make sure they're okay with the change, but I think there's some potential savings there, along with some potential savings on the concentration of one of the chemicals that Chris gets. So he has the ability to get it in a 25% solution or a 50% solution. 50% is more cost effective because you're not paying for the water to be hauled. However, he has issues with that certain times a year, but he does feel there's certain times a year he can definitely use the higher concentration chemical, which again should result in some savings to the village. So from a treatment perspective, the only other thing I do want to point out, not sure if it's really going to happen, but there is still a big push out there for elimination of land spreading of biosolids. So that impacts us in two ways. Number one is, when our septic tanks are pumped out, that's typically land spread by the company. In addition, we compost whatever biosolids we generate up at the facility. That material's spread on the ground for flower beds, etc. So there's there is a push at certain levels to eliminate that due to the forever chemicals. So PFAS, I'm sure you've all heard that term. The state of Maine did that already, but the problem is, what do you do with it? And that's the issue that all the facilities are trying to explain to the DEC or the state. If you eliminate this, how are we going to deal with this? So it's either typically landfilling, which will get really expensive, or pyrolysis, which is heating the materials to 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, very expensive endeavor. So not sure where it's going to go. Nothing yet, but there's ever-changing regs. We did talk about the collection system, condition of it. It's not. There are issues. It's not in horrible condition. For the most part, there's some sags and some pipes. The pipes are in pretty good shape, but overall, yes, there's some stuff that needs to be addressed, which is what that MBRC grant was for. The other primary component is the septic tanks. The last report that was submitted did review those tanks. They're in pretty good condition. So they're not a dire need we have to address tomorrow, by no means. But one of the questions was, do we switch to a conventional collection system, which means we eliminate the septic tanks and change the piping out. The issue is about 75% of our piping is not the right diameter. So in order to go conventional, you have to be 8-inch pipes. Most of our pipes are 4-inch and 6-inch pipes. So from a cost perspective, again, I don't think it makes sense to switch to a different collection system. Again, maintain what we have as long as we can. The other thing we did talk about was public outreach. So we're all concerned about costs, but let's do some public outreach to the customer base. Talk about stuff that should go down the sewer. Talk about encourage low phosphorus products in home use. So detergents, any product you use, the lower we can get the phosphorus intake in the system that goes to the plant, the less cost we're going to have down at the plant. However, it comes with frustration. Phosphorus is just really good at cleaning stuff. And a lot of people don't like going that direction because it doesn't work as well. So, but there's stuff like that. I mentioned, my house, I'm in Winterberry. Education on things like garbage disposal. So when I moved to my house, I had a garbage disposal. Village sewer use ordinance does not allow it because you're essentially adding increased biosolids to the system, increased cost. Mine's since been removed, but again, how many people don't even know that, right? They have no idea that they're not going to read the sewer use ordinance, but maybe some reminders of here's some stuff that you can do on your part to eliminate this. Sump pumps, I would wager there's quite a few sump pumps that are connected to the sewer system. Again, that adds to costs, adds to our treatment capacity out of the plant. So I think some public outreach would go a long way as well, and hopefully, again, get some public participation in that and try to lower the cost that way. So that's just some of the stuff that we talked about in a brief format, but I think we just gotta tackle it together.
Are there any risks to the idea of switching the pumping to Black Creek, like downstream Churchville or?
No, because every water body they look at, they give certain limits to, basically, or heard the term solution to pollution is dilution. That's essentially what you're doing. So a much bigger water body that you're discharging to, therefore you can have higher limits going to it. So there's no risk, and they're gonna outweigh any discharge. They have their formulas, their math, they come up with different discharges based on that water body. So there's no detriment to the environment. It's really, they're gonna follow their rules, but the benefit to us would be potentially higher limits and less cost at the plant.
Now, would Chris have to, like, if it was at Black Creek, would he have to drive down to that discharge location every day to get those?
Not every day, he could, because you're gonna have a continuous pipe between the plant and the discharge, so he could sample at the plant itself. There's really nothing gonna be connected in between, so he could sample at the plant, same way he's doing now.
Okay.
He should go check it once in a while, obviously, but other than that, no.
So I drove from the Donovan's basically to the Finks today. It's less than a half a mile, and that's on 19, but as the crow flies, I think it's probably a shorter run to Black Creek from there, so, so, and that, I think that would give us more options to, if we can get the phosphate level up and running.
Any idea what it would cost to run that?
Pump station, you're probably $400,000. The pipe itself, you're probably about $100 a foot to install it. So give you a rough ballpark of what that run is. So
I'm assuming there'd be grant opportunities that we'd be able to.
there should be. You're not going to get 100% grants. The typical grant for wastewater, I think last year they bumped it up to 35%, I believe, but it changes every year. And there's money out there, but just have to outweigh it.
Okay.
Trish, I want to ask you, do you know the freezing point for 50% cost is?
I don't know offhand, but I know that's one of his concerns. Is the colder it gets, it gels and it's tough to pump.
Yeah,
So-
and then we have to keep it in the heated area.
Yeah.
I was curious myself too.
Yeah.
You said it had a really high freezing point.
I'm sure I can talk to my friend Jack pretty quick. You probably tell me.
No,
So.
that's-
Okay, any other questions for Eric?
Thank you.
No?
For coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question real quick? I know it's
Sure.
Scott here, and I'm sorry, you guys
Yeah.
were talking about the sewer system?
Yes.
We just moved here a year ago, and we have a septic tank, obviously. I mean, it's new to me. That gets pumped out by you guys when? Do we call you and say it's full, or
You're on a rotation for every 4 years.
every 4 years? Okay.
Yep, so we'll come around sporadically and do that.
Is it you guys like notify us, or just come do it, or?
Yeah, we usually put a note on your door that we're gonna be coming around to do it.
Okay,
Okay.
And we'll knock before we go on the property to.
Perfect.
Again.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. That was all.
I gotta send a letter to a homeowner.
Okay, any other questions on the sewer? I think I'm just gonna forgo some of the new business and the old business and get right to the privilege of the floor. I know that's why a lot of you are here tonight. So I'm gonna just jump right to privilege of the floor and open it up, so.
I have a few questions about the tariffs for the business park and how the classification goes. From what I've received, it looks like we don't have a class for industrial. I know you sent some forms today, but they were pre the 2008 tariff. So the tariffs aren't mentioned in there.
Did you get a
Yes.
copy of this?
Yeah. It's this
The
one, I
rates
got
are,
it.
yeah, the classes are in here.
And so what classes do you see?
I got small general service there, large general
Page
service,
numbers.
and I've got large industrial.
Is it, and what is your meter rate?
Meter rates for residential?
No, for the large industrial.
Okay, hold on. I believe it's $3,200, $3,201 per month.
Okay, and then, large industrial is also,
Yeah, 3,201.
no, I got it. So I have Oxbow's bill and their meter charge is different. Is there like special privileges for special businesses in the same class?
No, I'll be honest, I had a call into a lawyer today a lawyer for our association to clarify this, because we're not sure about this, because this was set up when we only had the one industrial customer, Norterra. They have 3 metering points there. And it says total fixed monthly charge for all meters. So it's 3,201. So they got their first billing and it went out. So it was divided by the 3 because Oxbow only has the 1 metering point. But I'll be honest, we're trying to seek PSC. I'm waiting to get an answer for PSC clarification. Which way are we going to go here? Do we charge them 3,201 for 1 meter when they've got 3, or is it set 3,201 and that's what we have to charge up there? We went with the lower because we didn't want to go on the high side of it and have the, we'd rather have the PSC rule in our favor saying, hey, you tried to help the customer by dividing it by 3 rather than hitting for the 3,201. But in essence, it could come back with 3,201 is we'll have to charge them that back difference, and from then on it'll be 3,201. I probably should have some clarification on that maybe even tomorrow.
Okay.
I was waiting for the call. I was hoping I'd get it by now, and I didn't get it, so.
Okay, there was another question, because there's definitely a difference between large general service and industrial. Definitely a difference as far as powers pulled. But they also had a demand charge on there that is not discussed in the tariffs. Which, not that I'm complaining, because they should be paying their demand charges.
Who, you
But
talking Oxbow?
Which is also not in the tariff.
It's in this tariff. It's in our tariff. It's right here.
I know, I see minimum charge, I see all kilowatt per kilowatt, which is the 0.01 that they pay per kilowatt. And then they have the meter charge and then all kilowatt per kilowatt.
That's the demand.
So that is your demand charge?
Yes,
Okay.
KW's demand, 2.72.
Okay, is there a way to determine demand? So like what the village holds as opposed to what the business park holds? Because there's definitely a difference. I mean, an industrial park pulling demand costs is where we're getting hit. It definitely changes the way that we look at electricity or how our bills come in. So if they're pulling 3 times the demand in the peak time as opposed to the residents, is there a way to determine what that difference? Is there a meter? Do we keep track of that? Or have like?
Oh, yeah, every meter it keeps track of demand on the meter.
So
Every
that means
15-minute block, it tracks it for 15 minutes and it locks it in. As soon as the demand exceeds that 15-minute block, it resets to that until the end of the month. And that's what it's based on.
Okay, and is that, you guys keep those records as to see?
Well, we have to, that's how they're billed. That's how we know how much to bill them for demand.
So where does that cost go? That you say you bill them directly, but when you look at our PPACs, you can actually see that the demand charge the peak charge is higher than we've ever been. That's part of the cost that's going down onto the customers, on us, on the residents.
the demand charge is, it's gonna fluctuate every day, pretty
I guess
much.
what my question is there a way to make sure that the residents are not being charged for the peak or demand cost that is going to that business park? We should, so some way to determine the overage. So if we split hydro down the middle and said, okay, this is what we got going on, because we're subsidizing that. You can tell in the numbers, our usage was way lower in December than we were in November. It was half like what we asked for when it came down to what we needed for supplemental power. But that cost for all that extra is coming, it's split in that P-PAC to where ultimately the residents are paying for it. And we're not using it. So how is the village, or how is the electric being, so that there almost should be two different P-PACs. And their power that goes to that over there should be their power to that over there. Our power needs to stay over here because we're ultimately paying their electric bills. And they're saving, ours went up, what they're saving. Since January of last year, our bill has doubled. The cost per kilowatt has doubled. We went from 0.8 to 0.16. And I understand that New York is going up. I get it. But that is proof that in the future, things for us look even worse if we don't do something now about locking in and not paying for their power.
I know you're saying it went to 0.16, but that was for that 1 month.
Right.
That's now it's gonna go back down this month.
But we're always at the mercy of, we have hydro in this village, and we are at the mercy of fair market electric, and we shouldn't be. We shouldn't be worrying about what's going on in Byron and what's going on in the market, because we have hydro power. But the residents we are now an industrial area with a little village attached to it. That's what we are. Instead of being a village that is helping out industrial park. The tariffs are not, they should have been redone. I feel like the audits, did we have any audits? Did anybody stop out? I know I asked you this question and you said no. That has grown so big that it's 100% increase since January of last year. That's huge. To be throwing on people that are on fixed incomes and retired and it's whether or not they can stay in their houses or not stay in their houses, because if these rates stay, by summer we'll be paying $1,000 a month because Oxbow hasn't even started. And that 2.5, when they plan on using 4, isn't going to do anything.
Well, it's gonna help a lot.
No,
Believe me, that'll help a lot.
It's not going to change the situation we're in now. It's actually going to add to our situation, even though we get a little more.
We came away from the meeting Monday night, and I said that I would check into this, right? Didn't you heard me say that?
Mm-hmm.
I made the call today. Monday, today's Wednesday, I already made the call. We've got an agency I've talked to. They're gonna start looking at a cost of service to look at all these rates, okay? To see where we are with these rates. Are they all, granted, they haven't been looked at since 2008.
Right.
So it's 18 years. We haven't had to go after, the PSC for a rate increase because we've done okay. We've kept our heads above water here, and we haven't had to open it up for the PSC to.
Well, I'm sorry, you're not asking for a rate increase, you're just.
No,
asking-
we're trying to see if the rates are in line.
And make it fair.
And I made that call today, okay? I have the number, if you want the number.
No, we appreciate that. I guess that's what I'm pushing
The
for.
agency, they're gonna do a cost of service study, and then, again, this is my last meeting, but I'm hoping Mike will be the next mayor here, and I'm sure he's gonna follow through.
Absolutely. Any information that comes out of that study, which I would want as well. I live in the village, been here my whole life, pay the same rates you do, and just as gasped when we get our bills as you are. Can we live here or not, right? That's the questions we have. So any information we get, we are going to make that information available to every resident as soon as we get it, and continue to have more information available as we get it, as much as we get to you folks. There's different ways to communicate. We're going to look at options, other ways to get this information out to the residents and to the village, the community, and have more general meetings than just board meetings about that.
And we appreciate that transparency, for sure. And another, you know, the highlight of it needs to be for the future too. We
Absolutely.
can't just satisfy what's going on now. The residents really need to be protected. That, you know, if they, the more they grow over there, the more it's gonna impact us.
Correct.
So it's almost like it's something that needs to be locked in and where we deserve a contract.
If there's
Then
legal
what
ways
we're
to
gonna
do
get.
that, we're gonna explore it. I mean, I'm with you, absolutely. If there's, we're bound by mandates that come to us, we're bound by legalities, obviously. We have attorneys that we can work with and look at all these issues. But the first thing really is the study as to who's paying what, where's it going, and where's the hydro going, who's getting it, what's the allocations. Once we get all those figures and numbers, we'll sit down and we'll partner and we'll have communication about what to do with it and how to look at the tariffs. I mean, that's absolutely on the table.
And the idea of splitting the P-PACs into two different zones or whatever, is that something we can ask about?
That's PSC.
Um,
And a lot of that's mandated and regulated, but if we can do it,
My understanding of ESC is the village makes a recommendation and they basically file it. And we just have to stick to those, what we say we're gonna do, we have to stick to it. Like going and doing what we're doing and changing costs for Oxbow, it technically could be considered a violation of our tariff. So that's their job. They don't really come back on the village and say, no, you're not doing this, unless they view something as unfair or, unrealistic.
Right.
But the village board, you guys, that we vote in to protect our best interests, our homes, our families,
and we're here.
you guys are the ones that ultimately determine where that hydro goes and how it is allocated. That is an accounting, we are not talking about buckets of water, we are talking about accounting numbers. So when we figure things out, you guys, and I actually think that is in your authority, based on the research that I've done, to say, this is to separate the two. I mean, I may be wrong, and I'm glad you're looking into it, because it's definitely, I'm just worried what some are gonna hold. And how long are we holding at the rates we're at now? Because we know we're not getting to 2.5 for Oxbow until they start up.
Right.
And we're looking at them not starting up until February, or until
October.
November, or October, I mean. So we're gonna subsidize that housing tract until October? I mean, that's, so now what's summer look like? I don't have central air, I don't have an effective way to cool my house. So what's my bill gonna look like then? And as far as what's going on in New York, that doesn't look like that's changing. We're gonna be paying higher prices. In the summer, the village use is it's off the charts more than what we pay for, based on the numbers that I was given from Courtney. We're 2.5 times more than what we do now in the summer. So we're looking at summer bills of $1,000 at the rate we're going. So that's where I'm like, this is something that's kind of gotta happen. We've gotta move a little faster than waiting for callbacks, and we gotta drill into it and make sure that come summer, everybody's gotta turn all their power off because they can't afford their $1,000 electric bill.
Well,
Ma'am?
he said,
I guess at the end of the day, is there anything we can do as residents that maybe your hands are tied, or because you're in your position, is there anything we can do as residents, that may push it faster, because she hit my point that I brought up Monday. This is the tip of the iceberg. It's winter, okay, it's cold. Air is right around the corner. I don't have alternate cooling either. My house didn't come with central air. I don't have these split units put in yet. I'm not prepared to invest in that just yet, buying my house just last year. So I use window unit. It's gonna be expensive. It's not going anywhere. But listen, I can budget and I can prepare for that if there's transparency and I'm aware of that. But there has to be a solution. So who can I write? Who can I talk to? Where can I go? I'm willing to do the footwork, what can we do? Where can we all get together and how can we expedite it?
it takes time, and it takes time. We're governed under the Public Service Commission, and that's what we have to follow, this tariff. Until it's legally changed and passed by the Public Service Commission, we have to go by this. We're doing the cost of service study, we're gonna see where that goes, then they can make recommendations and submit that to the PSC, and they will say yes or no, whether we can do what we want to do. to change these rates. Until then, I don't know. I mean, it's no different than, I'm sure, you know, we're following the same procedures that the other munis are following. Your Churchville, Spencerport, Fairport, you call any of them, Carolyn, and ask them how they're doing it, and I'm sure they're gonna say the same thing.
Do any of them have a franchise that, because my next question for the board is, how much in debt are we? Because we expanded out to that business park. How much of that do we own? Well, I mean, what do those numbers look like?
We're not,
So we didn't pay for that?
no,
So we paid nothing for those transformers that went over there?
they pay for their own.
They paid for all of the electricity and it cost the village absolutely nothing?
The commercial accounts, we pay for the transformers. The industrial accounts, they pay for their own.
And how
They,
many?
they pay for
Commercial, there
their,
was what, 11 over there?
yeah, somewhere around there. But again, they're paying, you know, demand also.
Currently, we don't, there's no debt on electric fund.
Okay, so there's no debt right now, you're saying, okay.
But there will
Genesee-
be, there will be, when we complete the substation, the new substation.
And that substation is directly with what we did to that substation, how much, what portion of it had to do with that business park?
Well, I mean, it was 4 years old, so that was something that was on our radar that we had to replace sometime anyway.
I'm sorry, you're replacing in kind, you're not putting in a larger substation or anything like that?
Well, I can answer that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more MVA, but whenever you build a station, our transmission line is rated for 18 meg. So what size transformers would you buy to put in for that 18 meg? You put in, say, a 20 meg, you're not gonna put right now there's a 5 there. Okay, you're not gonna put a 5 in there when your capacity is 18. Okay, so, and he's, like Courtney said, that was in the plans before this park came. I mean, for Oxbow, when I ran for mayor 4 years ago, that was one of the questions that came from the floor. What do you foresee, you know, in your term? And one of the things I said, I see a new substation, and I am hoping to get new housing on Parkview for the, you know, 100 new homes on Parkview to help the tax base here in the village, which we would greatly, you know, benefit from. But no, we got the $1.26 million grant from Fast New York, and it came at the perfect time because we were putting the substation in anyways. That money helped offset $3.2 million that the upgrade's going to cost. So again, it came at a great time. The ratepayers would have been on the hook for that whole $3.2 million. And with our limited rate base, it would have been hefty to pay for with the course of the bond. So it really, and we also got another $200,000 from NYSERDA towards it. So we're at $1.46 million out of the 3.2. So
So it's paid for.
it sure did help us. You know, I mean, he's the numbers guy. We got to put that over with interest over 20, 30 years. It's a lot of money.
Okay, going back to the municipal communities, how many of them have franchises that are literally taking more power than their villages, than what they get? See, that's what makes Bergen unique, is we have a business park, an industrial business park, that is pulling way more power than we use
Yeah.
in the village. And that is where the concern is. That is where the ethics come in.
Could
Is
be,
how did this happen?
might be franchise. Well,
And Oxbow hasn't even started. We're looking at numbers without Oxbow,
yeah.
which is concerning.
Fairport might be a good example.
Fairport's way bigger than we are.
Oh, I know they are, but I'm saying they may have more industrial and commercial rate than
And when then,
residential.
that goes into my question, how do we benefit? Because all I see is I'm paying more money, so anything that I get, a new park bench, or, you know, a walkway, a golf disc course, all that stuff, I'm paying for it ultimately because it's coming out of my bill. I'm
Okay.
paying more in my bill, do we get taxes?
No, that's two different things there.
All right,
You got tax money and ratepayer money. Electric ratepayers have nothing to do with general buying
Right, so-
benches and,
but we are we are a municipal electric we have municipal electric, so that electric is supposed to serve this village. We went, made a franchise and gave our resource, very valuable resource, we handed it over to the town of Bergen and said, here you go, we're gonna give you that. What are we getting in return,
We
is
didn't
my
give it-
question.
Carol, we didn't give it to them. It's our franchise area.
We fought for something that I don't think we realized was gonna get so big. This got out of control. This grew to a point that I don't think anybody realized it was gonna get this big. So, and I think that's where the problem was. And it's not so much that it's anybody's fault. I think it just grew. But now here we are. And now my question is as we're all sitting on it, what are we getting for it? Do we get taxes? Because that's the town. So does anything go towards the village? Besides revenue for the electric, which I'm paying for, because I'm paying some of their bills, I'm subsidizing them, so that doesn't help me. So what do we get? Taxes? I mean, what are they doing for us?
Honestly, most of the businesses up there got pilots. I don't know if you're familiar with what a pilot is. It's a payment in lieu of taxes. For a number of years, the Genesee County Economic Development will offer these businesses these pilots, and they'll forego, say, school tax and town tax. They don't pay village tax because they're not in the village. But they'll give those businesses that benefit for a number of years so they can get them here, such as Oxbow or Liberty Pumps.
So they save money that way too.
They save money in the first few years, and then when the pilot's over, they have to start paying like they normally would.
That's the revenue you're talking about?
Well, it gradually increases as it goes. I think it's like a 10-year,
Yeah,
I think it's 10 years pilot, and then it will gradually increase, and then at the end of the 10 years, they pay the full force.
right. At that point, they'll be paying town tax. I heard a number of just over $2 million when they're done, the pilots are done up there, so I don't know.
So we suffer for 2 years.
Don't quote me on
trying to
that,
figure
but that money would be going to the town and hopefully offset the town rate for taxes that we all pay. Being village residents, we still pay a town tax. So hopefully they would lower their rate when they get that revenue coming in, and it would benefit the residents of Bergen, here in the village. Other than that, I mean, it creates jobs for the economy here. Oxbow, when we sat down and first talked with them about them coming here and the power, if it didn't work here, they were gonna go to Wisconsin and have their American headquarters there rather than here. And economic Genesee County there, I mean, they offer pilots, what they had to do to keep those jobs here. And also add on, I think, 60 more jobs. So, and they're good paying jobs with benefits. So it's important.
I'm not sure it's enough to make me say, put them here. As far as I'm concerned, they can go to
Yeah.
Wisconsin. They can pick their building out right now. and
It
take
brings
it.
revenue it brings people into the village.
Yeah.
Restaurants will be busier, people that own the businesses here will be busier, it gives them more money. So, yeah, we're paying the price right now for it, but give it a couple years and get New York, well, the whole New York State is a mess, so it's not
It
just
is.
here in Bergen.
It really is a mess.
It's not unique to us.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people that live out here, if we wanted to live next to that, we'd move to the city. I'd move to Gates. I live out here because this is country life. So as far as I'm concerned, and a lot of the residents I think are concerned, is it's taken away from what we consider as where our home is. I work in the city. I don't wanna live there. I come back here for that reason. So that to me is not, that it's just not enough to say, and how many people from the village work there?
That I don't know.
See, and that, that, we take that into consideration. Is it even applying or giving enough jobs to make it where here we are paying all these extra costs and going through all this nonsense for what? You know?
There's a Liberty, I believe, has 300 employees.
Many village residents and schools.
And Liberty, do you know, I think a lot of people sat on Liberty. I'm gonna be honest, a lot of people, I questioned, I called myself, and I knew that our bills were gonna go up. We foreseen this coming, I called a couple of times, every time they did an addition, my bill went up. But Liberty started in Bergen. These other companies are not they're not from the area, they're industrial, or companies from outside, international companies, that they have places. Oxbow's no longer owned by the people in Byron, the family-owned business in Byron that we're supporting. So I think Liberty, when it was just Liberty, everybody supported Liberty. As to where this is a whole different feeling. We're just getting every international business, whatever, that we can just pull in for no reason. Or, for what? The village, we aren't getting really anything. We're just bearing the cost.
I mean,
So if
there had to be-
everybody can carry it for 3 years, great.
Tim, you might be able to answer this. Weren't there public hearings for all these businesses when they were with the planning board, the
Oxbow
town?
had public
I mean,
hearings.
people could have went, residents could have went there and voiced their
I
objections.
think the problem was nobody really realized how much of the power was going over there. I don't, and until now, and I asked you personally, and I said, did residents know that we were giving them our electric? Like, nobody cares what business goes over there. Oxbow, you enter it through a different road. I didn't even know it was part of that park. I had no idea that was gonna be part of that park. Because you get to a different road, I didn't realize that hydro was going into a P-pack and being split. And it's like I asked you, there was no transparency that we were sharing our hydro with that whole business park and all these businesses coming in. Until bills started to get out of control. And then we're like, whoa, what's going on? So, and I said to you, there's no transparency. We as residents had no idea that stuff was going on.
So, it sucks. Yeah.
How many people in the village actually know what's going on, even want to know what's going on? I mean, people don't even know where our franchise area is. That was a lot of this. You're serving
Which is
people out
a
of your...
transparency concern. That is my point. That's a transparency concern. Why do the village residents not know that we have expanded out?
We
Because
didn't expand it.
you have a court document that says that you didn't have to put it in the paper. You put that, the tariffs for this 208, or this 08 is on the PSC's website and not on the Village of Bergen's website. And there's a court document that actually asked if that could happen because the village residents didn't need to know because it had nothing to do with them. But in all reality, it had everything to do with us.
I'd have to see, I've never seen that.
That's, if you sent it to me.
All I know is it's
I
with the
sent it to
Public
him.
Service Commission, and that's what we go by.
I think maybe that meant that at the time of the tariff being put in, that it needed to be on the website or whatever.
Well, it's part of the process. You
Back
have to
in
put it,
2008.
you have to put it on, in a newspaper. And that process that wasn't followed. And it was asked, the Village of Bergen asked not to follow that process because it didn't affect the Village of Bergen residents, but it does.
What
because
year,
it was
what year was that?
08.
Okay. Well,
And
none of us were
and
here,
That,
none of us knew
No.
what.
right, and that document there, I don't even think that's on the website. The generic version is on the website for the Village of Bergen. I'm just saying, there's a lot of, so when you, it goes back to when you said, well, why didn't everybody go to these meetings for these businesses? Because nobody knew, is what I was getting at. Nobody knew that we needed to worry about what these businesses were taking in our electric. Because we didn't know that they were taking it. We didn't realize that hydro wasn't being given to the residents before it was given to, which is a lot of municipal areas do. They make sure their residents are covered before their businesses.
Can you give me an example of a community that does that?
One of them does, and I don't have it on me, but I'll print you the list. I
I'd
actually
like to know
started
which one does that,
researching
'cause
that.
I'm unaware of any of that.
It just kind of goes down to, I'm sure everybody, if you gave an election or voting, a chance to vote, everybody would want businesses coming here. But then if you say the businesses will come here, but your electric bill is gonna double, or you're gonna have some crazy months, now all of a sudden you're gonna have half the people saying, hey, wait a minute, we don't want this. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and I think that's where the transparency comes in, where people should be able to.
Well, I think Carolyn's right when she's saying who expected that to grow to what it is to this.
Right. And
You know,
you know Oxbow's gonna get bigger.
They've got room to grow over
They
there.
got a lot of room. So,
they don't.
they got a lot of land.
No, Charlie Cook owns a lot of that land back there.
Just a question, when was the franchise established in the village? Do we know? I don't know.
1998.
98.
is what, from what I see, that's when
The
the court
franchise?
started. Well,
That's
it
when
goes
the-
back to 1945.
1945.
But the farmer sold the land off, and then the village of Bergen they got in with Genesee County and said, hey, we're gonna do this, and then it all had to go back to court and start a whole new fight all
That's when
over.
our franchise area,
It's 1945.
before any businesses were up there.
Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
But and technically, I actually think Niagara Mohawk was servicing, that area, or somebody on that area, which is what created the fight.
Well, I can give you the whole detail, because I was working here then.
Yeah, and it created a fight. going
We
back-
started, Genesee County Economics started putting all the infrastructure in the park. And they actually put the initial electric in there, underground. They did all that, gas, the electric, the water, they did all that. We didn't do that. That was on their dime. And National Grid wanted that area, and they started building lines across 490. They were working 24 hours a day. They were working night and day with lights up there at night, I remember it. Because they wanted to serve that area. And the board here at the time said, hey, that's not your area, that's our area, that's our franchise area you're infringing on. And it went to court in 1999, like you're saying. We've got the documentation, you probably read it, Public Service Commission made a ruling, yes, that is Village of Bergen franchise area. According to the Blue Farm, that was,
1945.
that was the Blue Farm.
Yeah.
K2 Pavilion Gift up there was being served by National Grid. PSC said, hey, that's Village of Bergen's franchise area. You gotta get out. We went up there, they pulled their transformers out of K2 Pavilion Gift. We put our transformer in and served them power. Another one was, there was a house on Apple Tree. We were there, National Grid came, they didn't like it, but it was a court order. Took their transformer down, disconnected from his house, we hooked them up to our house. Kevin, I think his last name. Rogers, yeah. And again, the court ruled on that. We tried to take Dr. Fink up here on North Lake. We started putting infrastructure in there. PSC said, nope, that's not your area. Get your stuff out of there. We had to pull our equipment out of there. Because the gun club was the Walker Farm, and that was it by the 1945 franchise from the PSC. That was the extent of our franchise area going north. Going south was the Blue Farm. That whole industrial park, along with where K2 Pavilion Gift is, was all part of that Blue Farm. And that's what designated the franchise boundary, and that's what we go by now. If you go beyond the park now, it's National Grid, you know, down South Lake. They don't come into our area, we don't go into their area. We can't infringe on theirs. I had a house on Bissell Road, a couple hundred feet. He built a brand new house up on Bissell Road here, and he wanted Village Electric because it was cheaper, you know. I showed you, they're, yeah, right, 22 cents a kilowatt hour every month of the year. It doesn't matter if it's winter, summer, whatever. I couldn't hook him up. He asked me, hook me up. I said, I can't do it. I said, I can't go a couple hundred feet and give you service because you're over the line of the franchise area. That's how it works. We don't go on there, they don't come in us. We have to service who's in our franchise area. They come to us, we have a statutory obligation to serve them. All these places there, they went before the town planning board okayed everything, they come to us for service. Yeah, you're in our area, we'll give you service. I'm not trying to play favorites here at all. You know, I live here too for 50 years. I pay the rates
I
too.
appreciate that you guys
And-
are looking into it, it's
and-
just to make it more fair. I just wish from the get-go that we would have said, somebody would have said, well, wait a minute, this is getting big over there, let's protect our residents. And let's redo how we do our hydro.
Yeah.
And make sure that this, more of it's staying over here than it's going over here. I mean, because nobody wants, we're all neighbors, we're all, you know, we all get along, and it just makes things nicer for all of us.
Oh, for sure. We're a small community, you know, that's why we live here.
And that's the task ahead of us right now. Mayor Schmino said at Monday's meeting, he'd be looking into it and asking for these, you know, surveys, whatever it is we can do to look at these numbers. I'm just as curious as you are, and if we got wiggle room, we're gonna go for it. So
Yeah, if they should be paying more, we're gonna see.
We're gonna do it.
Okay, I told you at that meeting I would do it, and I did it. I called today, we got the number, I've got the number of the place. If you want to call them yourself to verify what I'm telling you now, I'll give you the number.
And then going forward, any information we can provide, we're gonna provide it. You know, it's not my information, it's your information, so that's the way I look at it too. Are we gonna not hit every person's concern, issue, whatever, maybe, but we're gonna get the information out to you as best as we can. You know.
And is there gonna be some kind of, you have some kind of meeting to where
Absolutely.
everybody, because when it comes to sitting down to do the recommendation for tariffs and what everybody should be paying, that is definitely, I would assume that the residents would be able to say, you know, so much of our bills should be covered before we go, you know, putting over there, because in everything, it doesn't say how much hydro they get. They could get 1 kilowatt hour.
Yeah, we don't-
That satisfies every contract out that I've seen so far. So satisfying the residents and then moving, which we still would have some left. After the residents are done using what we use, we still have, what was it, like half? We use about half, what we get 1.5, oh, well, in the winter we use more. But 1.5, and I think last winter, we actually used, what, 1 million kilowatt hours, I think I seen? And this year, we were actually better than last year, but paid twice as much, which we know why. But point being, we still have extra to say, to push off, but, and still be covered ourselves.
You know, I want to take this even one step farther. A lot of the tariffs that systems have, it's based on your usage, your residential usage. If you're over 1,000 kilowatt hours a month, you pay a higher rate. Now, is that fair?
Well, if you think about it, that's how demand works, right? If we're using the power, then yes, I should be paying it.
Okay.
If I'm using it, I should be paying it. But,
Sewer bill is like that. So.
yeah,
Yeah.
it goes with the water.
I'm saying, if you want to be fair, that's the fair thing to do, because a senior citizen living by herself with natural gas, saying using 500 kilowatts a month, and
Yes.
I'm using 3,500 a month, shouldn't I pay more than her?
Well, yeah, because you're using it.
Okay.
Which is exactly what
Okay.
we're saying about the business park. They're using 3 times what we're using, and we're paying, so we're
Yeah.
ultimately paying for them. I don't mind paying what's mine. I'll pay what's mine, but and I'll even help out my neighbor. But as far as paying for that whole industrial park and subsidizing all that, that's too much.
Okay. Like I said, you know, they'll do a study, and you want to make it so they're paying what they should pay, and, but not so much that you cripple them, okay? And we have to find that happy medium.
I have one quick one, if I can, I just feel like it's just us, girl, I'm so sorry. But quickly, thanks for the history lesson, because I'm not from here, so that was a whole lot for me. Which made me forget, in my question, you had mentioned way earlier someplace, something about meters, right? Is it Nuba over here, the old Comstock?
Norterra?
Plant, Norterra, yeah. Oh, my gosh, so many names, right? The canning place. Having 3 meters. So is putting additional meters on Oxbow an option? Is that something also that we're exploring to like divide up their power usage?
No, it's because.
Because wouldn't that be beneficial to both them and us?
No. There's 3 meters at Oxbow because they have 3 main feeders going into the factory.
He means Norterra.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
I got you.
Norterra.
Yeah, I was with them.
Yeah, Norterra.
Big
They have 3 main feeders. Each one's on a separate breaker, okay?
Uh-huh.
500 amp breaker, big lines going in. Each one of those lines has a metering point on it. And the metering points are expensive. Nowadays, they're probably about $20,000.
Yeah.
For the metering that's up on that pole. And they have 3 of them. Oxbow only needs 1, the way it's laid out now. It's a new facility, so it wasn't set up like
Right.
lines here,
Supposed to
lines
be a
here,
little
lines. I
smarter.
mean, they've been there since, I don't know how long Norterra.
Yeah, no, I get it.
It's changed names 7 times. I mean, it's probably from the 1930s.
And I get
I'm
that it's more
guessing-
efficient, but I mean, maybe that's an option, right? I mean, if we
But
break
there's-
up the meters, then
there's-
maybe we're breaking up the electricity. I mean, I know we're not, but maybe the flow, I don't know.
I don't think that affects the way it's paid.
I know it doesn't, but geez, can we just say it out loud? We'll give them
You
like
have
20
three
meters
smaller
and charge them
bills.
20 bills. It makes me feel better they're getting 20 bills.
Yeah, their meter charge is $3,201 every month.
Okay.
Or no,
Yeah, but if they were getting two bills at $3,200 and
Yeah.
two delivery fees, maybe I'd get $5 off my delivery fee.
they only got the
That
one
would make
feeder
me happy.
going, one feeder going in, so it's not an option.
And we're gonna get that meter rate up to where it should be. There was a little confusion about 3 versus 1. and
Yeah,
we have-
it's
We
confusing.
have calls out to that. We're gonna get that,
Okay.
make sure that they're paying what we need to charge them as a village to,
Are you guys gonna do that with every building over at that at some point?
I don't know.
What's that?
Or just,
Check the rate for each building over there?
Well, when they
for
do the
what-
study, it'll all,
Correct.
Okay.
because I mean,
yeah.
honestly, like, if we're calling a spade, right, the Dollar General is relatively new as well.
Right.
And I mean, what kind of effect has that had on us? I mean, it was minuscule and it was quick and it was easy, you know, but did that like just kind of slip through and by and we just kind of blinked and, you know,
It
I don't
actually
know.
did go up. So we actually had the biggest jump at the end of 2023. Starting 24, 25, we went up like 4 cents and it hung there. So we haven't changed, which was around, I think, General Dollar. And was there something else that went back there? See, I don't know what's behind that place. But that is when we started seeing the jump. So I'm talking P-PAC, not what we pay for the whole kilowatt. I'm talking just P-PAC. We went from 3 to 4 cents to 8 to 10 cents. And there was a big jump there, which is what, and it's probably
so in
because
just out of
growth.
curiosity, did that end up waving itself off? Because obviously that's pre-me,
No, that's,
like
that's when
pre-me
I,
coming to this
when
area,
I called the
sorry.
village, that's when we started noticing jumps in our bill, and that's when I called myself and said, hey, what's going on? Well, that's what was happening. Every time, you know, Liberty Pumps was growing, and like I said, Liberty
Well,
Pumps
and
is
I-
one of those ones we treat special.
They had the other businesses that went in there.
Yeah, and I don't
The
know what's back
tent
there.
business,
That I
I
didn't
mean,
look
there's
into.
been 3, 4.
Yeah, so and then there was a jump. So the question now is, if 24 it jumped so high, and now you got Expo, that's humongous.
So obviously, this thing that they're doing.
It's
is
very
on it.
important.
He's gonna
Right.
really sort
Okay.
this out and see where it's at.
Perfect, thank
Right.
you,
Yeah.
I appreciate
I
that.
got a question, so everybody, make sure you signed in, so for the minute, so I have everybody's name.
I'm so sorry, I'm like, I thought it was 7 o'clock, I don't know how I screwed that up.
So the other thing with the survey that we're gonna do, I don't know the timeframes of how quickly they do or what, we'll give you that information. Okay, so when they call us and say it's gonna be 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 3 months, I don't know, we'll make sure that yeah, we'll get that information out. to you.
he told me this is it's time consuming. It doesn't happen, you know, overnight. It's gonna take a little while.
As long as something's being looked at with another set of eyes,
Right.
not saying that we don't trust you, but you guys could be missing something, you know?
Yep.
Things
Well, that's why
change
we're-
every day
Yep.
with technology, you know? And there could be a grant out there that we're missing or something that we could be signing up or trying to apply for to help the village with this hydropower and knock a few cents off here and there.
Typically, if you're under financial distress, you would go to the Public Service Commission with a study, you know, and say, hey, we need an increase. We haven't had to do that.
Yeah.
So there was no need to, since 2008,
Right.
to say, and which, it means we're doing pretty good here. I mean, we run on bare bones here. We got 2 linemen, 2 guys. That's what we have in this village for our electric department.
Can we go to them now and say we're under distress? That we're.
Well, that's what
No,
this-
we're not.
I don't
We're
think
not.
we're under distress
We're
yet, but
not.
I don't wanna
Well,
get
I'm
under
saying
distress.
we're
I wanna be as
That's-
proactive as we
that's where we
possibly
need to have
can
that
to
plan.
prevent
That's
it.
exactly.
Yeah. But I'm saying that's why it's been this way for, you know, the last 18 years now, because we've managed.
Right, it was like a blink of an eye, and it happened like that. It went quick, so and it almost wasn't even, it was like, it went so slow, and then just bam. So,
Okay.
agreed, absolutely agreed. I do have a question about the 2.5. I know you were talking about the 5, that they're talking they may give us more. do we know if that's gonna happen?
No,
That,
that 2.5 would be the max.
and there's no way to say to them, hey, can, you know, I need to get more to help, you know, because I'm not against helping the business part.
Yeah.
I'm just, we need to make sure that we're taking care of before, but, you know, to see if there's a way to, you know, this growth is humongous, is there a way we can get just a little bit more to relieve our residents and?
They would have to hire a lot more employees. It's based on the KW they're gonna use, how much power they're gonna use, and how many jobs they're gonna provide. Dictates that 2.5.
You also get a little bit of extra hydro for Liberty, but not, that was like half or something like that. But every year they have to qualify and give us a report that says how many employees they have, and we have to submit how much power they use, so keep it. There's some other municipalities, we had businesses leave, and,
They lose.
and they lost that.
The-
And that's pretty much how we got
Yeah.
the Oxbow stuff, is somebody else lost some.
Yeah, the other way, the only other way to get some is if there's a block of economic development power that the Power Authority blended into all 50 municipal and co-ops in the state. And they gave a little bit to each muni, and then as soon as a muni qualifies, say a new business comes, Oxbow comes, they give us 2.55. Well, now they took that 2.55 from everybody else. From all the other systems, they took a little bit back from them. Rather than just letting it sit in the bank account, they did distribute it. And so that if Oxbow comes through with what they said, with the job, and we'll get the 2.55. That's
On top of what we already have.
on top of what we have.
Yeah.
If they decide to downsize, let's say AI or whatever, some kind of whatever, and then there's, let's say we can manage with less workers, do we lose that?
Yes, yes. They check every year.
Mercy.
Every year, right, Courtney, they send you a form, and we have to, send it up there, and they have to fill out how many employees they have, and they know how much power they use, it's on record.
So this is the poker game you're playing, is basically, is how much do we push them?
They have
Well-
to meet their benchmarks.
Yeah, well, I would think they'd lose something else if they start losing jobs over there, wouldn't they? From you guys, from the village or the town, they would lose
It would be more the county, I think.
Tax credits.
No.
tax.
Yeah, right, not from the village, because they're in the town.
It would
Or,
be the county.
but yeah, but we also pay town taxes here in the village.
Yeah.
I'm thinking we benefit from it somehow, being still in the town/village.
Do we have a grant searcher writer?
We do. We're also looking into the option for residents who don't have access to gas, of bringing that in.
Okay.
It takes the folks who don't have a gas hookup to kind of come together and advocate for it, but we're putting a process in place for you to do that, and then approach our G&E about letting you hook in to get natural gas if you wanted to. Before the state starts their mandating that no new, gas systems in the future, so
Why?
we're trying to get on that as quickly as we can.
So I thought that was just for new structures.
He's looking into that, he lives over there.
I'm wishing I had gas, and I talked to you guys
Yeah,
the other day about that.
yeah, like he was just saying, I own property out in Orleans County, and we're being told the same thing there, to bring power and gas back to, our property is just, it's not an issue because it's there, it just can't be new structure, can't be like a new build, anything like that, but if there's existing property there, it's not an issue. So,
It's a New York State.
hopefully that's
issue
carrying
as well.
over, but I do believe, emissions in 2027 and now 2030 and 2032, welcome to my world.
Well, they may strike that,
Let me decide now.
they may strike that down anyways, right?
Yeah, they're talking about pulling that back.
They're putting some of it on hold, but,
Not enough of it.
It's not enough, so reach out to your governor,
And is there a way to look into
She'll be here
grants
next
for the
week, Rob.
homeowners that are in there? So we looked into, for instance, because we like Central Air, it's gonna cost us 10 grand more because we have to do the mini splits, because you don't have ducting. We have no way to, we have no furnace, we don't even have somewhere to put one. So is there a way to reach out and see if there's, grants, or if the town can get money to help with that kind of infrastructure, for the residents?
Well, we give,
We have 'em.
we give
Eric, any idea?
rebates from the village.
Eric's an engineer from Clark Patterson Lee, so I'll put him on the spot.
Unfortunately, there's not a lot of money that municipalities can find on your behalf. Because it's typically, if the state gives money, to a municipality, the municipality's gonna own the infrastructure.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's typically the way it works. But there are programs, I know rural development, for example, they do have a program for low-income individuals.
Well, we don't have a lot of low-income in this village.
A lot of these things are income-based. And it's, so they have that, for example, for water sewer connections for low, and I'm assuming there's probably something out there for something like this, but again, it's low-income driven. You have to prove that you meet thresholds.
Maybe RG&E would know, have some,
Yeah, how much is a rebate for
2,000.
furnace?
For the mini split.
So you can get a rebate from the village for putting in a furnace.
RG&E gives a pretty big
Yeah.
rebate
Yeah,
for
ours is
furnace,
2,000.
stuff like that too, though.
Yeah.
They put in a new furnace.
Okay.
They don't service inside the village, though.
But I'm saying, if they put
No,
RG&E in.
Gas, they do gas, yeah.
Oh, they do.
Yes. So if we all got together and said we wanted it,
Yeah.
so that we can play the balance game.
So
Yeah,
stay
yeah,
tuned, because I'll be around
51%.
asking.
51% of the residents who don't have it have to sign on for it.
Yeah, we gotta get people to
I think that'd be
sign,
pretty easy to
to
do.
get on board. I think now, yeah. Yeah.
And that's 51% of the housing tract, is where we
Of
want
the
it,
people who
not.
don't currently have it
Okay,
in the village.
okay.
There's a
It's not,
few
you
up in
know,
other
these guys
areas.
aren't gonna sign, I'm there, got it.
No, it would just be the folks.
We're just talking about, there are some on Rochester Street, those are new homes across from Todd here, and they don't have it either. So we're trying to incorporate all that together, so it looks beneficial to RGE to say, hey, we've already got gas there. At the end of this house, we can just bring it down a few more, and in our tract, it's at the end of Richmond, they could just come down and boom.
And they do it so easy with
Yeah.
Oh,
machines,
yeah.
the ditch witches, and
Yeah.
they did it in the village of Leroy. They
Yeah.
just replaced, last couple of years, all their gas lines.
Mhm.
They dig a hole, and they start pushing line, pulling line, and then they fix it within a few weeks, and
Have you
don't
heard
even know
about
they're there.
anything about spectrum being put in underground on the subdivision?
No.
They all come out of the backyards, mine does.
So I heard at some point that other subdivisions it was being replaced and that they might be running fiber or something.
I think Bill Howard was telling me that Frontier wants to bring fiber in. Yeah.
They're doing that in Leroy right now
Yeah,
too.
yeah, so they did that at our place on Silver Lake. They just came down and they had this thing that spun right on the power line that was there. And all of a sudden, it's like, we've got high-speed internet for you.
Yeah, I think
And
it's
they
like,
think that's coming to Bergen?
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah, because Bill used to work for Frontier, so, for what it's worth.
But in subdivision, you have to go underground.
Underground, yeah, yeah.
So we would plan.
Yes, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
thank you for
got a
bringing
question
it
for
to
you
my
guys,
attention.
completely off topic. Were you guys home when the person tried to drive their vehicle?
Yes. Our
Somebody,
GPS teacher told her to do it.
somebody was at McCabe Court and thought they could drive to the State Pavilion down that path in the wintertime and it got
There was
stuck.
4 foot of snow.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, that's where they pushed the snow there, it's like, what the heck, you know?
I don't know, I don't wanna know what would happen if they tried to cross that bridge.
I looked out the bedroom window and I was like, Carolyn.
Why are they over here?
Wow.
She said, and I can't believe her GPS would have told her to go that way, but you know what, I wonder if she looked forward and seen that bridge, because it is wide enough for, for our distance, you're thinking, and I think she went for it.
I'm sure she saw the cars below in the parking lot.
It looks like you can get
Yeah, she went for it, and her husband comes over, and he's trying to get it out of there. We went out, tried helping him, but we had to get you guys, because then our truck wouldn't start, because our battery died.
couldn't afford to
My
charge
guy
it.
sent me that picture, I'm like, he just sent me a picture. And I'm looking, and I zoom in, and there's a car up there.
Yeah, keep
Oh,
going.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it
I had a
either.
great laugh.
I can't believe she thought she was gonna make it through all that snow. It was 4 or 5 foot snow
Yeah.
there. Their tires were gone.
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
Anything else on that?
Anything else before we?
Thank you.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, next thing on the new business is the planning board alternate appointment, Cindy Favara. A motion to appoint,
Make a motion to see if we can.
I'd like to appoint Cindy Favara.
I'll make a motion to accept the appointment.
Yeah, my husband's like, are you gonna oh, this is
All in favor? Designation surplus is in sidewalk V-plow that Courtney talked of earlier. Is there a motion to put the sidewalk V-plow up for surplus?
I'll make a motion to put the sidewalk in the closet surplus.
Second?
meeting minutes from last week.
All in favor? Okay.
And all that stuff is kind of the.
Local law number 1, 2026, tree ordinance.
Electric buses.
That's what we just had our public hearing on.
I'll make a motion to accept the local law number 1, 2026, tree ordinance.
So
Is
there's a
there a
lot of
second?
audits happening.
All in favor?
I see.
And we're on to the budgets.
Lunchtime.
Thank you guys for coming tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Free to stay, of course.
Yeah, stay, yeah.
Done and they just.
Figured if you don't come, you ain't got no reason.
More than-
Yeah, where do you live?
Yeah.
29 Canterbury.
Okay. Good.
What's your name?
Jim Cook.
Jim, John.
Nice to meet you.
So, sewer
Yeah,
budget,
that's Betsy.
we've talked about
So,
general,
yeah,
looking
points on
at
campus.
electric, we've gone over the sewer
Yeah.
budget, but as you know, we had.
Okay.
Yeah, issues there.
But yeah.
We're talking with Eric,
Yeah,
and things
nice to
like
meet you.
that tonight, with the chemical, saving on chemicals and the way we treat, we will save a substantial amount of money there. And he also talked to me about the reserve that we have in place right now, that's set for tanks and lines.
Yep.
But if we retitle that reserve, which we can do, because it was set aside for the new sewer plant, 20 years ago. So we can do that. And so what I'm going to suggest is that we change the title not only to cover tanks and lines, but also equipment for the operation of the sewer plant. So what that does is we have a considerable amount of equipment breakdown there on a regular basis, and it's quite a lot. So if we take that out of the equation for the budget and we take that money out of the reserve, that buys us some time.
Okay, and then also taking your salary out of it as well.
Right, taking, we can't take all my salary
Right,
out of
right,
it,
right.
but I'd be just reallocating where.
Where's the reserve on here? Was it?
So the reserve's not on here.
Oh.
Because it's a separate, so it's just a savings account, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, and then about $189,000 in there.
And the concern was that we were gonna have to start replacing tanks quickly and.
Well, like Eric said, the tanks aren't bad right now.
Yeah.
We might have to replace one a year, but in 10 years, when they're 50 years old, we're probably gonna have to do more than that. I don't wanna deplete that very far, because we're gonna need that money down the road. I don't wanna put,
Yeah.
a board 10 years down the road, whoever's, in your places, in our places, I don't wanna put them in our spot. So we need to get some money and put it away for tanks. And also, as you know, we don't have any unappropriated fund balance, no cushion here.
Yep, right.
So we need to build that up as well. And then there's money that the sewer owes to general that we have to pay back.
Yep.
So we need to not only get the boat floating, but being in a spot where we can, is financially sound.
So with your changes then, does that mean we are gonna ask for no increase?
That's right.
Thank you.
Oh.
That's great.
And what he was explaining about the reduction in whatever the chemicals were, it's like
Right.
50% instead of the 25%
Um,
solution, that's one of them.
Yes, so that's the way we treat. So the phosphorus level is a little different depending on the time of year, and the temperature takes a component too. So the concentration of chemicals, the higher concentration chemicals cost more. So if we change it, so we're not using the higher concentration chemicals all year, and then we use the lower concentration, then we'll save some money there too. But if we can manage to get the hardship awarded to us from the DEC, that would be amazing. And that would be a huge, huge savings for us, because then we will not be using nearly as much chemicals as we are. As you see on that chart,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody else is up here and we're way down here.
We're just crazy.
The rates that we're at are it's unseen in most other municipalities. And he mentioned that Rockport study, phosphorus going into.
SUNY Rockport, yeah.
Yeah, SUNY Rockport study. And that's what really kind of affected the DEC too.
But if we get a new substation down the road to pump to Black Creek, we're gonna save even more.
So I also sent some sheets to Courtney, to have 3 different laundry soaps, 3 different dishwasher soaps that have no phosphates in them. So if we can get that information out to people, that's gonna help us. I mean, it's only a win-win if we try to get those levels reduced. And then at the laundromat, maybe we'll put some signage to say, this is the type of soap you should be using here, so that we can avoid, all those phosphate levels.
Is there a soap dispenser in there? That we could only stock with?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I'm trying to get samples of all of those as well, so that we can distribute to the community and.
I called Procter & Gamble and trying to get samples that we can hand out, so.
We can get 50% of the residents on board that use these
Yeah,
reduced
I mean,
these chemicals, we're gonna
Anything is
save a
good.
lot more.
Is good, any less phosphates and stuff would be good, so.
How far was that line to Black Creek?
Less than half a mile.
Half mile?
Again, that's on 19, I think as the crow flies, it's probably less, because it winds back in there.
Do you need us to make a recommendation, Courtney, or? you
No,
need
I just
something?
want to point out the changes that I made to the budget,
Okay.
which is only under treatment and disposal, which is on page 3, 11813004. It's the biggest number on the page. So last budget is at 175,000, and dropped it to 126,203.04. And that balance.
What's the line number again, I'm sorry?
It's 11813004.
I got it.
So
So
we're saving, by the changes we're making, we are predicting to save $50,000.
Thank you for
That's
that.
great.
Very good.
Yeah.
Balance the budget, so
Good stuff.
that's the only changes we made, so that the board is happy with the 3 budgets. Then we can go ahead on the April 8th meeting and have the public hearing for the budgets, and then pass them if you feel ready. If not, then we can push it back to have a second meeting in April, which would be the 22nd of April.
Let me just throw out that I'll be on a cruise that week, the 8th, so if you want to push it out, you're welcome to. If not, then go ahead.
I'd recommend pushing it out,
Okay.
I'd like all members here.
Okay. So I can schedule the public hearing for April 22nd at 6:30. It'll be a special meeting.
Well, you still do the public hearing on the 8th if you want. I don't know if I need to be here for that, so.
Okay. Yeah,
Does that
that's
make
up to you
sense?
guys.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay. You just want to have the meeting on the 26th just for the vote.
The public hearing and then the vote.
Okay, you want both on the 22nd?
No, I would like trustee Caperso to be informed of any village resident concerns at the public hearing before we vote on it.
Okay, all right.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, sure. Public hearing on the 8th, voting on the 22nd.
Correct.
Okay. So I will advertise all those things. And also, typically, at one of the 2 meetings, we have the reorganizational meeting, which
Yes.
is when we reappoint people and set for the rules and regulations for the.
I'd like to do that on the 22nd as well. That's my opinion, if you guys are okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
I just would rather get through the budgets, make sure the community's informed, knows what's going on,
Yeah.
make sure we have any concerns addressed before we then move on to the next New Year's. We're entering into a new business year coming up, so we're closing out the old year, opening a new year. I just want to make sure all the concerns of the village are addressed, we get it all on the table, and have the full board here before we vote.
Okay.
Sound good?
Mhm.
Okay, that's good. Okay.
Okay, anything else to bring before we close?
I'll make a motion to close the
A second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all again.
Yep.
Yes, thank you. It's very.
Thank you, thanks for coming tonight. All of you, thank you.
Can you Skype with us?
Do you do,
That meeting be live.
you do lawn mowing and stuff?
Yeah, mowing, maintenance.
Okay.
For a year.